And welcome back to the corner, College Football Corner here with Randy and myself, Fletch. It is a recap show. This is something new we're going to hopefully start doing here on Sunday nights if it works out. Let's talk about what happened yesterday and Friday to boot with technically college football starts I think on Tuesdays, but games that matter started Friday this week. Real quick, we're a W partnership. You can see the W information at the bottom. Go to the WGG. When you buy something, put in the FE network code in, get 10% off. It's excellent tasting, good energy drink without the jitters. Keeps you sharp and focused. I've had a couple weeks of it, and nothing's wrong with me.
Well,
yeah. Tongue in cheek on that one.
Might as well start off with something debatable, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So, what's your takeaway? Well, where do you want to start for this weekend, man? We can start anywhere. What do you want to talk with?
Well, I mean, gosh, man, it's wide open. What another crazy weekend. You've called it, the year weird. Never know what to expect. Gosh, I don't know. We could start off with, man. My mind's friggin' still whirling from everything that happened.
We'll start low on the totem pole with what happened today. Billy Napier got the can.
Right.
Little unexpected, only because they've been saying they're going to fire that dude for a little over a year now, but he bounced back last year with a bunch of wins, kept his job, and then they beat Texas, but as we're seeing, Texas isn't a hard out as what people thought they were going to be. No slight to them. I think that team just probably another year away. Maybe next year will be a much better year for them. But, Florida, I guess they had enough. I kind of made the tongue-in-cheek joke that maybe they're going to get the jump on Franklin. Franklin, if you didn't see, was right on game day yesterday morning and had a big old thing. They were talking to him. He's like, I don't want to wait around. I don't fish. I don't, what do you say, I can't remember what the other activity is, but basically he says he's ready to coach again. The goal is still to win a national championship. It's just going to be somewhere else, is what he said.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not saying he wants the Florida job, but maybe Florida wouldn't mind having him. That's a tough one, I think. To go from Penn State to Florida, you're talking going from you got to beat Ohio State to you got to beat Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's tough to go into the ACC, the SEC with high hopes. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know that Florida is the place for him. I mentioned we were talking about it earlier, chatting back and forth, and like I told you, I think it's kind of a snake pit, really. To go into. This daggone cat is out. That'd just be a tough place to go. What we're seeing with everything that's going on is it seems to me that these universities are giving in to a lot of I'll call it peer pressure or something, but the fans are going absolutely nuts. Chanting, fire this guy, fire that guy, fire this guy, and it's almost to me like, well, okay, yeah, let's fire him. I don't know that. I don't think it's the greatest idea to fire a guy with 4 games to go in the season or whatever it may be. If that's the time to do it or not, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it just seems like as they start chanting it, the fans want it, and they're like, okay, we got to do something. Let's get rid of this guy.
Yeah, some of the logistics of it with the portal window changing is if you're going to be in the playoff, which it doesn't look like some of those teams will be, you're going to be kind of hurting to try to do portal stuff when you still got a team you're hoping is going to make a move and maybe go further into the playoffs for college football. The other teams will be chomping at the bit to try to be the first one to get the shiny coin. Franklin's probably considered the shiny coin, just given who's out there and available. But my personal opinion, I'm sure you probably agree to a certain extent. When the boosters start calling, saying, "Here's the money, get rid of them," that's probably when they do it because they don't want to lose the booster money. That stuff drives the whole bus, which
Right.
drives the school, and then of course TV money and all that. It's all cyclical, but the boosters got big pockets in some of these schools, and I'm pretty sure that the whole James Franklin thing was big because it's just been an ongoing thing. He can't win the big one. Who is it? Is it Vanderbilt that has as many wins against? No. It's somebody else. Somebody yesterday got a win against top 5 team, and they have as many as Franklin's had the entire time at Penn State. 4. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head.
That
But
might have been Vanderbilt.
I don't know if they played top 5, but nonetheless, it was somebody like that, you know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think Franklin's a great coach. I like him. I think it's just one of those things where they just weren't getting enough of the recruits. And you and I have talked about that for years. You can pretty much, you know, up until the last few years, you can just go down and say who's going to be in the end, who recruited the best the last 4 or 5 years. That's just going to be there because when all things equal, the bigger the guys are, the better the guys are. Usually, that team's going to win the game. You know, so I think he was definitely you know that, and then everything else that happened here lately. I mean, like I said, 8 months ago, that guy is 1 or 2 plays away from being in the national championship. Now doesn't have a job. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is. I do agree with you. You know, and like you said, the you know we're looking at who's going to get the top guys and all that kind of stuff, and I know that certainly comes into play the timing of all this, and but you're looking at in Franklin's case, he was up against basically Ohio State, Michigan for the most part. I mean, Indiana kind of came on here at the end and stuff, but and talking about if you're going to go to Florida, now you're going to compete with Georgia and Alabama and LSU and Texas and Oklahoma and
Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know that is the. I don't know if that's a good fit for him. Maybe the Big 12 or out west or something might be a little bit better. Get things going out that way or something. But yeah, I mean, he'd be jumping. Right, you're jumping from one fire into a bigger one.
No doubt. Well, let's move into what happened this past weekend. The one guy I was thinking of was a Louisville coach,
Stoops.
Brom has 4 wins.
Yeah.
He's got 4 wins against top 10, being at Purdue and other places. And of course, this past Friday was no different. As they knock off number 1 Miami at the Hard Rock Hotel, California, whatever that place is called. That was kind of a shocker. You and I were going back and forth talking. We talked a little bit yesterday morning about it, but boy, Louisville looked like a team on a mission, and they carried it out, and they held down the fort and got that game done.
Yeah, that's one that I don't think either one of us seen coming. But yeah, wow, that's that was really something. Like I said, Louisville locked in, and Florida they're just kind of they're kind of spinning right now. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know where it is. If it's team chemistry, if it's coaching, if it's a combination of all those things, which it probably is.
Sure.
A lot going on.
Yeah, and Beck, looked like he kind of did it at one point last year for Georgia. Four bad picks.
Yeah.
The last one, it was tip ball. That's a little different, but that first one was bad. And then there was a couple others where it wasn't so much hard. One of them wasn't a horrible throw. It was just a little no thrown, but it was a great catch by the DB. Otherwise, that guy would have pulled it in.
Well, that's the one I actually wasn't sure who had the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought, I think I told you yesterday. I thought, well, 2 of those picks were pretty darn good plays by Louisville. Like I said, The one tip, the guy gets it barely off the ground, and then the long one, I wasn't sure who had that.
When he threw that and he was coming, I was like, I think the receiver got that one. And then he comes up with the ball. I was like, dude, I got to see that replay. And he got every bit of his frame to that ball. Heck of a play. That was awesome. Great play.
It was. And I'll tell you, moving forward here, I'll tell you something that just has baffled me all day long is how Texas won their game against Kentucky. We're looking at a game here where Texas had 8 first downs versus Kentucky's 26 first downs. They had 200 yards less of offense, and yet they win the game. And, I know that Texas had the big goal line stand, and,
right.
And I was like, oh, hey, Kentucky, I got an idea. Let's run the ball right up the middle. Let's don't do it once. Let's do it again. But, yeah, that baffled. I don't know that, and we all know that the game's not played by stats, but that is one of the most lopsided things I've ever seen, and a team still win a game like that. That just blows me away.
Yeah, it's like there's 2 ways to look at it. How did Texas win that game? But how did Kentucky lose that game, or so to speak. Because Kentucky actually had to come up with 10 points in the fourth quarter just to get it to overtime.
Yeah.
And then it was nutty. That's just. I think it was it Georgia or Ole Miss that Kentucky snake bit last year, and this year, not that they snake bit Texas, but ugly game, all the way around. I don't know if it was raining down there. I don't think it was raining there Saturday, but who knows? But yeah, we're talking about Friday real quick. The nightcap, if you will, of that one was Minnesota beating Nebraska, and Nebraska was ranked. Or actually, I think they're 25th now, or they were 25th then. Yeah, I don't think they're ranked now. And, that kind of knocks Nebraska out of the mix. That gives them their third loss. And it really shows, like I would think at one point I said yesterday, maybe Matt Rule is looking ahead to Penn State, but that's kind of tongue-in-cheek on there. But so, yeah, the Minnesota, the two upsets on Friday night, that kind of told us what we could be looking for the weekend. And so some good games. A&M undefeated. You said it'd be a tough out of Arkansas, and you were lying, bro. It was a 45-42. It was a dogfight in Razorback Stadium, whatever they call that place. But that was of course, Arkansas put 15 on the board in the fourth quarter just to make it close, but ended up coming up short. But
Arkansas's had several losses that way. I mean,
right.
Just within a few points, or an opportunity to win, or whatever. But they've had some really tough losses.
Yeah, they've played tough, and it cost, of course, Sam Pittman his job. Now it's Petrino, and he's fighting to keep that baby. But what did you think of Ole Miss Georgia? At one point, I was watching it, going, "Wow, I think Ole Miss is finally going to win this game." As far as each year, and then Kirby, Georgia, 17 in the fourth quarter. They won by 8. They scored 17 in the fourth quarter. That's Kirby Smart for you.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about it time after time after time. That the second half of Georgia is just just two complete different teams. Yeah, I was watching that game. Just like you, I thought, man, Ole Miss is rolling here. Everything looking really really good. But you got to keep it rolling. There's 60 minutes in that game, and they got to that fourth quarter, and Georgia just absolutely dominated. I think Ole Miss had something crazy. Not very many yards. Not obviously no points. They did nothing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and Georgia just typical Georgia. You got to play 60 minutes with them, or they'll bite you in the butt.
Yeah, I was sorry. At one point, right towards the end, Lane Kiffin, he just looked on the sideline. He didn't have his headset on anymore. He just looked like, well, what do I got to do to win this game? That's probably the best they've played them in their stadium. Since he's been there for sure. And they had a nice lead. They scored 28 points in the middle quarters. 14 and 14 in the second and third. And of course, Georgia had 17 in the second, but they just came up with nothing. In the fourth quarter, like you said, so it's a four quarter game, and so not decent game, but as we predicted, Georgia would take that one, but it was a tough game. And then of course Alabama Tennessee. I think that game turned on that pick six right before halftime. That seemed like the nail in the coffin to me. You're on the doorstep, and I was like, how did Alabama just score? I missed it. I'm going 2 games at one time. I had to rewind. I'm like, oh, man, that was crazy.
Yeah, Tennessee, I thought for sure, we're going into halftime with Alabama having a 3-point lead or whatever it would be. Tennessee right there on the 1 yard line, and all of a sudden, big play changes everything in the game. Certainly the momentum. I can't remember who got the ball to start the second half.
I think Alabama did.
I think Alabama did. So how would that have changed things if they did score? I don't know. But the fact that the way it happened, and the pick six and 99 yards the other way certainly changed everything in that game. I'll go back just a minute for that Georgia game.
Okay.
Ole Miss. Gunnar Stockton was like 31 for 36.
26 for 31, 289 and four touches.
Absolutely and incredible. He was. He had a heck of a game. And when a quarterback's on fire like that, it's tough to compete with that.
Yep.
But then we'll go back to. I thought I had a cigar around here somewhere. Let me see what I do with it. No, that was a great game. But you're absolutely right. The turning point in that game was that pick six. Um, I mean, absolutely. I think Alabama seemed to be in control most of the way.
It was a momentum killer for them. It was great for Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
And then it seemed like the whole second half was, okay, Tennessee, here they come. Alabama answers. Tennessee scores again. Alabama answers. That was pretty much it. They never let Tennessee grab much momentum and get back in the game. Now, Alabama's second half was amazing. They played great football. Ty Simpson is as good as advertised. He looks better every week. And what are they, number 3 now? I think in the rankings. If they're not number 3, they're the highest ranked one-loss team. I know that.
I know it's 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
So A&M. That's right.
Yep. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and then Alabama.
Okay. So they're definitely the highest ranked one-loss team. And it's hard for me to argue with that as far as who they've played and who they've beat and who else has played and has one loss. I think Alabama's right now they're in a deserving spot of where they're at.
Oh, I think so. I think the rankings, the AP rankings anyway, I think they're pretty much dead on. Again, what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? I mean, not really a whole lot. Being the top 12, of course, is obvious. Nice to have one of those buys.
Right.
I mean, that's certainly a big part of it. But what the AP says and what the committee says could be completely different.
Oh yeah, and by the time we get to November, a lot of those teams are going to play each other. Especially in the SEC because they got more ranked teams, and a lot of them are playing each other in the next few weeks. So that'll all just be great theater on Saturday for great games. We got some coming up this next weekend. So yeah, what a really good game that was. I think I texted you at one point and said, "Man, you got to be loving this," because it was really going Alabama's way.
It was. Didn't go that way at Tennessee last year, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Big 12, Texas Tech with a backup quarterback, they had to go to Arizona State. They got beat by 4, 26-22. I did watch some Texas Tech football, some highlights and stuff, and they look explosive, but they do look like their defense has some issues. They create some negative plays, but then they give up some runs. Arizona State it was a dogfight. And Texas Tech scored 15 in the fourth quarter just to lose by 4. So you can see where Arizona State had a nice lead on them. So that's a nice win for Arizona State. I think the Big 12 right now has 2 undefeated teams in the conference, and it's Cincinnati and BYU. BYU won the Holy War, and that was a dogfight. As we thought it would be.
That was a heck of a game. And then one that you picked, right? Vandy.
Yep. Yeah.
Beating LSU. You took Vandy in that one. I didn't think it would. I think, being at LSU and LSU kind of back against the wall.
But it was at Vandy.
Things have gone. Oh, it was at Vandy. You're right.
Yeah.
It was at Vandy. And, that was just
I would have took LSU. I think I said they're at Vandy. I think I'm going to take Vandy. Early game, none of it. It's just football. And I just felt like Vanderbilt was playing a little better. And you watch the game, you're like, it's like weird. It's like Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt. How do they win games? Because it's so different than what you used to see on the highlight reels of these big games. But, man, I tell you what, they both got quarterbacks that are absolutely fearless. They break tackles and run the football, and they pound you. And it's good. It's good to watch if you're old school. And I certainly like the old school football as well. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. In the SEC, Vandy and Missouri both really stepping up against some of the powers of the SEC, especially the ones that were predicted at the very top. LSU is expected to do all these things, and according to Texas and all that kind of stuff. But here's Vandy and Missouri making a whole lot of noise there, making a case for themselves.
Yeah, Missouri had a nice win against Auburn, 23-17.
Yeah,
it's a one score basically, but they had to go to overtime. But they were on the road. You went on the road like that, and like we always say, weird things happen in that stadium. And there was some weird in that stadium. I can't remember what the play was, but Missouri did come out on top. Yeah. And then the ACC, Virginia, Washington State's an interesting team. They almost beat Ole Miss last week. They almost beat Virginia this week. And they're 3-4. They don't really have a conference because they're one of the last remaining Pac-12, which is the Pac-2 But they're giving people fits, that's for sure. And to come all the way across and play at Virginia and almost win, that says a lot about them and a little about Virginia. Virginia is kind of a tough out, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're making trouble for other teams. That's for sure. In the ACC, I think I got the standings over here. What a mess.
Yeah, you were saying we were talking about Florida State a little bit, and you said, "Oh yeah, but Florida State's playing Stanford. That shouldn't be any problem."
I did not see that. I mean, I watched some of it going. I was like, I can't stay for this. But my gosh, what are they doing? I know. Georgia Tech, Virginia, SMU, Pitt. That's the top four in the ACC right now. I mean, come on, that's crazy. But that's just those are undefeated teams. Pitt's got one loss.
No.
A bunch of them got one loss. But it's just crazy. And Florida State in the conference, 0-4.
Ain't that something?
That's why I thought he might be gone. But maybe they wait till the end of the year, unless you can. I think you can't turn that baby around and expect to get to the championship again, but maybe you can come out at even at 4-4 in the conference because they've already lost 4. That's shocking. I did not see, especially after the way it puts Alabama.
Yeah,
I didn't see that at all. And in my opinion, ACC is lesser talent. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying, what they did against Alabama. Maybe Alabama just wasn't there to play that day. Maybe they played that game again this week. It'd be way different. I believe it would be the way they're playing right now. There's no doubt.
Well, yeah, the two teams going in two different directions, but you can't take away from the fact that in week 1, Florida State was way more ready to play than Alabama was. But they didn't see the wheels falling off of that wagon like they did. But
yeah, absolutely. So Notre Dame, I thought they looked pretty good, but at the same time, USC got some explosive plays on them. I think both those teams look kind of similar, or they can and differently. They both run the ball. I think Notre Dame's a better running team, but man, USC had some nice things going down. But they made some bad mistakes in that game. A little halfback toss that didn't turn out. The guy ends up coughing the ball up. I'm like, what are we doing here? So I don't have a lot of faith in USC moving forward in the Big Ten. But I definitely think Notre Dame from this way out, they win. I think they're in, and they can just once you get in, you just survive in advance to get to the end. They're a nice looking team. I think they're better than last year. I don't know how much better, but I think they're better than last year. If nothing else, at least that much more experienced.
Yeah, I mean, and Notre Dame had some bonehead plays in that game also. I'm like, the one guy rolls out one way and rolls back the other. I'm thinking, just throw it away, kick a field goal. He throws an interception.
Yeah,
But Julian Love, who he's quite the player. He had like 228 yards rushing in that game.
Oh, it was nuts. Yeah. Let me see. I got the score. What did he have there? Yeah, 228 on the nose. You nailed it. 24 carries too. That's a crazy yards per carry. Yeah, and then they had a number 24. I can't remember his name, but he had a kickoff return. So right after USC takes the lead, they kick it off, and the Notre Dame guy takes it right to the house. So that's a heck of an answer. I mean, that's usually a killer.
That's the ultimate answer.
Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, Notre Dame's rolling. If they were in the ACC, they would be destroying the ACC, in my opinion. Well, I think we talked a little bit about Clemson lost again. I can't remember. I don't. Their game ain't even on here because it wasn't a big game. But whoever beat them, I know Dabo. And I agree with him. He's built up a lot of credit. He's got 2 national championships. He got 6 SEC or 9 SEC conference championships. They shouldn't be firing him, and I don't think they are. I don't think that's even on the table. But he's got to he's got to get to the portal more so than he has because he's kind of defiant on that, he's got to get back to recruiting better and is get to play because they were supposed to be good, and it didn't turn out that way at all. And it's a bummer for them. But I like Dabo as a person. I think he's a funny guy. He's a charismatic dude. He's an old timey coach. I like that. I would hate to see him get the cancer. I hope he turns it around down there and gets back to prominence in the ACC real quick.
Well, he wouldn't be out of a job long. I wouldn't think.
I agree. I think if he didn't have a job, he'd be above Franklin because at least he's been there and won it twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Penn State loses again.
Oh yeah.
To Iowa. Wow. Like I said, when the wheels are coming off these teams, man, they're coming off. They don't just lose one wheel; they lose all 4 of them.
I know it's not a whole lot you can do now. It's an interim coach. You just got to ride out the season, and then UCLA has won 3 in a row, and they're the hottest team in the Big Ten now, as far as so to speak. They play at Indiana this coming week, and it's like, I want to say Indiana should blow the doors off them, and I still think they should. But man, that's why they play these games, pal. It was the year of weird. Who knows what they can muster up? Last year, that was at UCLA, and Indiana tore them apart 65 to something. It was ridiculous. It was early in the season, so I don't know if UCLA has any realistic aspirations of being able to come in there and make any noise, but it's going to be so. It's a big noon game, so it's that Fox's big noon game, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
for that one.
I can't see Indiana having too much problem with that, but man, every Saturday is just, man, you sit down in front of the TV. I'm going to watch this game and that game, and then you find yourself flipping back over to this one because it's crazy, and then flipping back to the other one because it got crazy. And
I think that cat wants his name on the show. Fletch, Randy, and Puddles, or whatever his name is. Two teams you were talking about, Missouri and Vanderbilt, they play this week, so that'll be a heck of a game to watch. See. And I think it's I looked at the schedule here. It is at Vanderbilt, so they got the little home field advantage there for whatever that's worth. It might be. I think Missouri was their first road game was this past week at Auburn. They hadn't played. They played every game at home until this past week. So.
We'll have a lot to talk about here at the end of the week. There's some pretty good matchups going on. Oh
yeah. Cincinnati wins again. Oklahoma State. Nice win for them. 49-17. It's dominant, and they should be dominant. Being atop of Oklahoma State is just reeling from last year and this year. Nothing's going good down there I want to be a Sooner town, as you call it. The Cowboys, I guess they are. So, A&M, we talked about them. Indiana played with their food for about 10 minutes. Then they realized they'll play Michigan State, and they blew them out. Nobody's really talking about Ohio State. You can't really say much about them. Wisconsin's a bad team, and their second straight game they got shut out in.
Right.
Saying through for 393 and 4 TDs. So I guess against bad teams, you can count on him if they're going to shut down the run. And UCLA comes to Ohio State too in a few weeks after they do Indiana this coming week. So a lot of nice games coming up in the schedules for the next few weeks.
Well, you'll have a good guide to how that's going to go whenever we see how Indiana and UCLA goes, if they can even be competitive. So like I said, that'll be upcoming. But another crazy weekend. What do you call it? The year of weird or
the year weird? Yeah, it's what was I telling somebody? They said 10 years ago, if you had told me that there's a head coach that is the head coach of Indiana is turning down jobs at Penn State or Nebraska, you would have shot me, and then here we are. Theoretically, dude from Indiana going anywhere, he got paid. Matt Rule maybe wanting to go somewhere now. I'd say that tongue in cheek because they got beat pretty bad by Minnesota. But so Penn State, 10 years to 20 years for sure was preeminent job, and it still is. It's just they're just not there. It's not. I don't think it's as bad as people may think. Franklin was a really good coach. He won a lot of games, but he just didn't win big game. But you know what? The number of teams that win big games like that is pretty small, and it's kind of there's a little group, and they all beat each other. The rest of them are wishing they could get in that group. So Franklin would get a job, sure. But that's kind of interesting stat.
So if you're Penn State now, realistically, who are you going after?
Saban. Call Saban first and see if there's a number you can do to get him out there. He'll probably say no, but you know what? You're dumb if you don't call. You're dumb if you don't call Saban. He's the best out there available. Yeah. When he says no, then you look at who's available. I don't think Mike Gundy would be good. He's available.
Right.
I don't, honestly, I would start looking at, and I know this is going to sound like it's bucking the trend, but I would look at guys like Cignetti that are real successful at the next level below. Because I can't think of any. Urban Meyer, he ain't going anywhere. Guys that can go in and just change the culture of a place just by showing up. Saban, Meyer, Kirby Smart, he ain't going anywhere.
Right.
Lane Kiffin, he ain't going anywhere, I would doubt. Maybe Brian Kelly, probably not. And I don't know if Brian Kelly is a culture changer. He's won games, but everywhere since Cincinnati, when he's moved up, it's been a little less and a little less. He's not really gone in
True.
and done it. Didn't do it at Notre Dame. You could say potentially the guy he left behind is doing better than he is, even though it's been a couple of years. And he's not really filling the shoes at LSU. And LSU's they want national championships down there. They ain't gonna take this much longer. So, other than that, I don't know. I think there's somebody out there that's really worth having. Other if you steal somebody, and I don't know who'd steal. I wouldn't steal Riley from USC because other than him being dominant at Oklahoma, he hadn't really shown anything other than he can score a lot of points depending on who his quarterback is. So.
Well, if you're going to steal somebody, maybe you look at the guy at Vandy or the guy at Utah or something like that. Somebody that's that's kind of turned the team around a little bit with some success that you actually would have an interest of really stepping up from say from a lower level, but it is a lower level.
From that standpoint, Missouri's coach is great. Drinkowitz has a lot of good press on him. So,
and his name is mentioned. Quite often that, but as far as the big name goes, I mean, you're not going to get Saban. You're not going to get Urban Meyer. You're not going to get Lane Kiffin. You're not. So I think you got to go after one of those other guys that. Of course, there's some coordinators out there that they talk about the Mike Bobo guy from Georgia.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to say what's a good fit is, but I mean, you definitely want to get somebody that has showed success all the way through. The guy from Indiana would be the ultimate guy, but I don't think he's going anywhere at this point. But at some point, does that guy want to step up? I mean, is he really going to take Indiana to a national championship?
I think he's 60-something years old. He might even be 68. I think maybe 64. And he was under Saban, and he decided to bet it himself. He went down to tier 2, took a pay cut, thinking he's going to get back and be able to do this. He's already the best coach they've ever had, so to speak. I think if he leaves and goes to Penn State, he's got a ton of pressure, and if he doesn't even come close to delivering what he did there, it's going to be like, oh, it was a bust, because they're already trying to say he's not really, he's a bust, whatever. It's smoke and mirrors, blah blah. If I was him, I'd stay right where I'm at because I don't think he's got anybody clipping at his heels. He's got Ohio State and Michigan and Oregon to deal with, and he just dealt with Oregon on the road pretty good. I think as long as he can, he's got to step up his game, so he's got to recruit. I think he's in a good spot, especially if they get back to the game this year. Win or lose in the Big Ten, they'll be in. That means them and Ohio State are both probably undefeated. And then if he wins a game, that's one more than he won last year. He should be able to start recruiting. And if he can't, that might be what keeps him from getting over the hump. But by the time he's done there, he'll just retire. Why go somewhere else try to do it again?
Well, I mean, it depends what you want. I mean, if you're satisfied there, and
right.
I honestly think I don't see Indiana winning the national championship. I just don't.
It's hard. It's hard to see that.
I mean, I would be shocked if they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. I mean, Ohio State really seems to have things going now. But you look at a 12-team playoff, and let's just take a team like Indiana that gets into that. And let's just say you got to get past Ohio State, and you got to get past to Georgia, and you got to get past an Alabama, you got to get past to Miami, whoever it may be. I can't see Indiana getting through 3 of those games. Maybe they can, and they will shock me, and I'll go, "Wow, that's incredible!"
Right?
And, they don't have the 5-star recruits that a lot of those other teams do. They certainly have.
That is true. They don't. He's doing it with.
Right.
Great talent, but it wasn't 5-star coming in. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I could see them beating Ohio State only because I think if they meet them, there's Mark Salyer. Any chance Penn State comes with Heartline? We'll put that on there. I wouldn't want Heartline, and it's not. I'm not saying it because I wanted to stay at Ohio State. He's just now become a coordinator. And most of the time, what you want these big schools is you want a guy that's not going to be calling plays. You want a CEO. Signetti's a CEO. He's not calling plays. So I just think that I don't think that'd be a step up. I think it'd be a step backwards. He's a great wide receivers coach. He'd probably bring some dudes there. If anything, they try to steal him for what he's doing now, mainly to do that and get recruits. But I don't think it'd be a good fit for a head coach. He's just green. He's young and gun. He's great, but he's green when it comes to head coaching. He's not even done it yet. I think it's a big point. Well, what do you think?
Well, I think that could be a good hire. I mean, these guys got to have that opportunity sooner or later of what they can do. And his name is in the hat. You keep hearing it over and over again right now. He is one of the guys of the names that you're hearing. Would that be a good hire? I kind of agree with what you're saying, but we don't know that. Maybe he is the guy that can come in there and turn things around. We don't know, but yeah, it would be kind of a reach. I think it's kind of a sidestep.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily say a step back, but a sidestep because they can't go back much further than not be able to win the big game. So
right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a possibility. But definitely hearing his name in the mix already early on. So it'll be interesting to see who they go after.
Now, make no mistake. If Ohio State, however it happens, if they win the national championship this year, there's no doubt their coordinators are up for jobs. Whether they take jobs or not is up to them, but they're up for jobs because that just happens. When you win, your coordinator's usually going to get plucked. And some of the scuttlebutt with Patricia is he'll go back to the NFL. I don't know if that's true or not, but
yeah.
So if they go all the way in Heartline, because right now I'm thinking Ohio State's not blowing anybody out up and down the field, but they're being very systematic about it, and I think that's fine because it's mid-season. You don't want to show everything on tape anyways. You want to save the best for last, kind of like last year. They're playing the numbers game. Getting a lot of bodies in, so people the wear and tear. Now that's a 16-game season if you go all the way. So it's a little bit different. They're huddling up more. They're not going tempo. If they win it all, that definitely means their offense was on par, and that definitely puts Brian Hartline name maybe up higher. So
yeah.
If they wait and go all the way to where everything's done before they hire, that's certainly a possibility Hartline could go. I think he'd be great at anything he does, but experience is one thing. And I don't know how much experience he's got, but he could be bright enough to it doesn't even matter. He could pick it up, and Dan Lane done a pretty good job as his first head coach out there at Oregon. He was a Kirby guy, I think, wasn't he? Lanning out in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's done. He's done.
Lanning.
Lanning. Yeah. He's done nice out there in Oregon. That's his first head coaching job. So.
Well, and of course it's going to come down to dollars and cents too. But
yep.
I think there's somebody's going to make a whole lot of money going there, and then if they crap the bed, they're going to make even more money when they get a buyout.
If they offer Hartline, talking about Penn State, it's hard to see him saying no because that's just going to be a huge check, a huge job opportunity. Unless he just is like, man, I ain't ready for that, and I don't want to ruin myself by taking a job. Hopefully Fickle hasn't ruined himself by taking Wisconsin and have it turned up like a big flop because I think that guy's a great coach. It's just it's not worked out up there and it's looking bad on him.
He's had some bad luck, a lot of injuries to key players and all that kind of thing. Yeah, but going back to the Indiana guy, and like I said, I could be proved wrong on that whole thing. Maybe they will beat Ohio State and knock off Georgia and knock off whoever. In that playoff thing, but I would be shocked at that. But I would really like to see this guy. If I'm right, that's a big if. Big if. If I'm right about that, and they can't get over that hump to do that, I would really be curious to see if this guy goes to a Florida, a Penn State, a LSU, some marquee place, and does he do that again? If he does, he's probably going to be considered one of the best college coaches there is.
Right. That would be true. What he's done at Indiana is amazing, but Indiana was so bad, but it was still amazing. Not taking away from it, but to go into a team that is really up there already and take them over the top and win it all, that's harder to do. There's no doubt. He's got that new contract that supposedly they got money and everything else, and I think he's going to jump ship this year because I think he's going to see. But if he feels like he's not getting what he needs, he would certainly leave. I would think if he really wants a national championship.
Well, and
Or
that's
if that's what he wants versus is he happy
right.
that he's succeeded at this level and anything else is just gravy, then he'd stay where he's at. But
Right. I mean, depends what his goals are. How far do you want to take it?
right, because they're building a statue for him probably already in Indiana, right next to John Mellencamp.
Yeah, I'm sure that they are. Yeah.
Yeah,
I bet very, very impressive. I love the guy's attitude. Pretty cocky attitude. He's pretty confident. And,
yep, yep,
nothing wrong with that when you're backing it up.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Alrighty, I think that probably wraps up a good for the recap. I don't think we touched them all for the most part, especially the upset ones. And it's wide open in the ACC, it's wide open in the Big 12, and it's a little bit of the same players we thought for the Big 10, maybe minus Penn State, and Michigan may not be quite there unless they string a couple together. In the SEC, it's a Wild West, baby. Who knows what's going to be happening there? But it's going to be fun over the next few weeks because a lot of them are playing each other. It's
Yeah,
a conference game.
Michigan is probably one of the more interesting teams that I see. They do play good defense. They have the quarterback that has the potential and the pedigree, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff can do really well. So it's going to be interesting in these last coming weeks, these next 2, 3, 4 weeks of how they do and how they respond. I mean, they could possibly be a team that come at the end that comes on that it would be a dangerous team that everybody's going, boy, you don't want to play them.
Yep.
I mean, I could see that happen if they can put some pieces together. They're not there right now,
Right.
but if they put some pieces together with a good defense, who knows?
I would expect them to be a hard game for Ohio State to win at the end of this season because it's on the road and it's a rivalry game. We all know what those are like. But hopefully it's one that Ohio State does win. It doesn't have a problem with. But, man, you just never know. That's why you play them. I think Michigan's set up really nice to look good next year. Got that kid for a whole year of spring and summer again. They're always good on D. They recruit well on D on the lines. They'll be really tough next year. I think Penn State not being really in the mix, depending on who they replace Franklin with, that just gives them another slot right up there with Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan should be right there, I think, in whatever order, who knows, but those should be the top four teams.
Yeah.
If depending on what happens with Penn State. But
Right. And the Ohio State thing, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty high on Ohio State right now. One, I really like Julian Sayin. I liked him when Alabama recruited him. I liked when Nick Saban likes him. I like him.
there you go.
I really think he's all that. If he's the guy, which he has proved to be so far, if he's a guy that can take care of the ball, and he's even done more than just take care of the ball, but he can take care of the ball with good defense. You got to have defense to win championships, and if they can run the ball a little bit, I think they're truly the number one team in the country right now. And if Julian Sayin can keep doing what he's doing, I think they're going to be unstoppable.
It's just one of those things where, from the outside, it looks better than I think from somebody who's a fan like me. I love Julian Sayin, I really do. And yesterday, his fourth touchdown, he scrambled out of the pocket, and he was running right, and the receiver was running right in the end zone, and he threw an absolute strike. I mean, it was on a rope, and it hit the guy right in the hands. Nobody had a chance at it except the receiver. And I saw the dude for USC try to do that last night, and it went in the ground, because it's tough to run on a sprint and throw a knife. So Sayin's got a nice release, quick release. I know if there's anything I say that's a knock on him, it's just that he's not very big. But that's something you can't overcome. You are who you are. Hey, and there's been guys that have been that size that had great careers, and even in the NFL, let alone college.
Right.
So, but I think he's an absolute great passer, great awareness. He's Captain Cool. When it's all said and done, however many years he may play at Ohio State, I think he can be one of the better ones that's ever been there.
Well, the big thing will come. Like I said, I'm really high on him. I really like him. But, I mean, the big test will come. I don't see him having any problem with Michigan. I don't see him having any problem in the Big Ten championship. The big question will be maybe not even in that first round of the playoffs, but maybe those last two rounds. Then we'll really find out about Julian Sayin. And, I mean about Ohio State in general, but him specifically, of how he can perform against those guys that
Sure.
are at the very top. I mean, we thought Texas was, but they're not.
Yeah, I'll say when they play Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, but if that's who they end up playing, I think that's who it'll be. I think, I think that'll be the toughest defense they would have seen. I think Indiana's playing a really good defense. They may not be 5 stars, but they are putting pressure on the ball, putting pressure on the line. They're playing good in the, so I think that'll be the best test for him thus far, when and if they play them in the Big Ten championship game, considering everything goes that way. And then, yeah, it all depends on when you get to the top 12 in the CFP, where are you at, and what side of the bracket are you on, and who is your potentials to see moving forward, and how that all works out. Who you're not going to see, and who are you going to see.
Yep.
It should be a lot of fun, but more than likely, we'll probably sit here and say there's a good chance it's going to be one from the ACC, one from the Big 12, probably Notre Dame, and then 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it works out to be, from the Big 10 and the SEC. Probably a little more from the SEC this year, especially with Penn State going down in flames.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll talk more about it here at the end of the week in our pre-game show and get things wrapped up here. And it was a heck of a weekend once again.
Oh yeah, the year weird has begun. Next week is week 9. Look for us Saturday morning. We're probably doing maybe another 9:30. Wake up, have a little coffee, and then join us for about a half hour, and we'll get y'all set up for the week. So until then, he's Randy. I'm Fletch. We're W Dudes, and we will see you guys on Saturday morning. Enjoy the week.